It's healing time. Today is one of the most important equipping times we will ever have. Men are losing the battle to sexual integrity.
Dr. Doug Weiss, a name synonymous with marriage counseling, spent his career devoted to helping individuals and couples navigate the complex, sometimes murky waters of relationships. For nearly 3 decades, he stood as a figure of authority in the field of relationship therapy, with a specialty in treating sexual addiction and a phenomenon known as intimacy anorexia. His work and extensive qualifications, ranging from Certified Sexual Recovery Therapist, SRT, to Intimacy Anorexia Coach, IAC, have earned him respect in therapeutic communities and on platforms like Oprah, Dr. Phil, and Good Morning America. Doug's books, DVDs, and appearances helped millions understand the intricacies of love, trust, and commitment, providing guidance on how to heal broken bonds and build healthier relationships. A marriage built on a professional foundation. With such credentials, Doug was seen not only as an expert in repairing marriages, but as a beacon of hope for those struggling to find or restore intimacy in their lives. His career flourished alongside his personal life. His 30-year marriage to Lisa Weiss seemed like the embodiment of the ideal partnership. Together, Doug and Lisa appeared to be a powerful duo. Doug, the marriage counselor with unparalleled insight, and Lisa, a respected novelist and writer. They had built a life together, their careers intertwined both personally and professionally. Their union represented the very principles Doug espoused in his counseling sessions: commitment, understanding, and mutual respect. However, beneath the surface of this perfect marriage, cracks began to form. The couple's struggles were never made public, at least not until the inevitable happened. Doug, the man who had made a career out of saving marriages, announced that he was divorcing Lisa. The news shook not just their inner circle, but the entire world that followed Doug's work and admired their relationship. How could a man so dedicated to saving others' marriages fail to salvage his own? This was the question that many asked when Doug and Lisa announced the end of their 30-year partnership, the shock of the divorce and Doug's swift remarriage. The real shock, however, came soon after the divorce announcement. Just months after ending his marriage to Lisa, Doug remarried Joni Lamb, a prominent figure in Christian broadcasting and the co-founder of the Daystar Television Network. Doug's rapid transition from one relationship to another raised eyebrows. How could a man who had spent his career counseling others on the importance of patience, healing, and reflection move on so quickly? This quick remarriage left many wondering about the true nature of Doug's divorce. Was the relationship between Doug and Joni Lamb something that developed after the marriage had already ended? Or was there more to the story, something that the public and Lisa herself were not privy to? Given the prominent positions both Doug and Joni held in the Christian community, the suddenness of the union stirred controversy and led to intense scrutiny. The question that loomed large in the public's mind was this: how could Doug, the counselor who advocated for careful reflection and healing, be so quick to enter into another marriage? Joni Lamb, a woman with her own story. Joni Lamb, co-founder of the Daystar Television Network, was no stranger to the public eye. Having worked with her late husband Marcus Lamb, Joni had been integral in building Daystar into one of the largest Christian television networks in the world. When Marcus passed away in 2021, Joni found herself in a leadership position at Daystar, a responsibility that many believed was both a way to honor her late husband's legacy and a chance to continue his work. Joni's life, marked by immense grief and profound loss, was about to take another unexpected turn when her relationship with Doug Weiss began to bloom. Their connection was rooted in faith, mutual respect, and shared experiences within the Christian community. For Joni, who had spent years navigating the highs and lows of marriage alongside Marcus, Doug's support provided a semblance of comfort after her devastating loss. To many, the relationship between Doug and Joni seemed like a natural pairing of two people who had experienced great personal losses and were finding solace in each other. For others, however, the timing of their marriage was suspect. Joni had known Doug for years through their work in Christian media. Was there an emotional connection between them before their respective spouses passed away? Or did it blossom only after the end of Doug's marriage to Lisa? Lisa Weiss breaks her silence. For years, Lisa Weiss stayed quiet about the dissolution of her marriage to Doug. She maintained a dignified silence, choosing not to speak publicly about the end of her 30-year marriage. But as Doug's remarriage to Joni became more public, Lisa could no longer remain in the shadows. She decided to break her silence, offering a candid, heart-wrenching account of her side of the story. In her emotional revelations, Lisa shared how Doug had become emotionally distant long before their marriage ended. She described how the bond that once held them together slowly withered away as Doug's focus shifted to his career and his own work, leaving Lisa to feel invisible. Doug, consumed by his role as a counselor and the pressure of his career, seemed to neglect the emotional intimacy of their own relationship. It wasn't that they had frequent arguments or overt conflicts. Instead, it was a painful realization that Doug was no longer emotionally present in their marriage. His devotion to his career had overshadowed his devotion to her. Lisa spoke of feeling alone in her own home. She found herself yearning for the emotional connection they once shared, a connection that seemed to slip further away with each passing year. Despite Doug's professional work in counseling couples on intimacy and relationship repair, his marriage to Lisa was quietly unraveling, and it was heartbreaking for Lisa to watch. What made this situation even more difficult for Lisa was that her marriage was under public scrutiny. As the wife of a renowned relationship expert, every aspect of her marriage was examined, analyzed, and commented on by outsiders. The scrutiny of their marriage created a sense of isolation for Lisa. While the world observed Doug's work and public persona, it was difficult for them to understand the strain in his personal life. Doug had built his reputation on helping others repair their relationships, yet he seemed unable to fix his own. For Lisa, this added an ironic layer of frustration and confusion. She wondered how a man who had spent decades helping others navigate relationship issues had allowed his own marriage to dissolve. The pain of a rapid remarriage. Perhaps what stung the most for Lisa was Doug's quick remarriage to Joey. After spending 3 decades together, Lisa was left to process the end of her marriage in the public eye, only to see Doug swiftly move on to another relationship. To many, this felt like a betrayal, a slap in the face to the life they had built together. Lisa herself was blindsided by Doug's quick transition from marriage to marriage, raising questions about the nature of their relationship during the final months of their marriage. Was Doug already emotionally detached from Lisa before they divorced? Was there a connection with Joey before his marriage to Lisa ended? The speed at which Doug remarried left Lisa grappling with difficult emotions. She felt as though the life they had shared, the years of memories, love, and commitment, were erased in an instant. For Lisa, it wasn't just the divorce that was painful, but the way in which her relationship with Doug seemed to be replaced by a new life that didn't include her. The Daystar controversy, family, faith, and scandal. As the drama unfolded, the spotlight shifted not only to Doug and Lisa, but to Daystar Television Network, the organization co-founded by Joni Lamb and her late husband. Daystar had long been a pillar of Christian media, known for promoting strong family values, faith, and spiritual growth. But with the sudden marriage of Joey to Doug and the public fallout from Lisa's revelations, Daystar found itself at the center of a controversy that shook its carefully curated image. Daystar's mission had always centered around the importance of family unity and strong, lasting marriages. The network's programming and leadership were built on these values. Yet, when Doug quickly remarried after his divorce from Lisa, many began to question how such a swift transition aligned with the principles Daystar had long espoused. For viewers who had followed Daystar for years, the scandal felt like a betrayal, forcing them to reevaluate the integrity of the network they had once trusted. Moreover, the controversy surrounding Doug's remarriage became intertwined with other issues within Daystar. In a shocking move, Joni Lamb fired her own son, Jonathan Lamb, from his position within the network. Jonathan had been a key figure in the Daystar organization, contributing to both its on-screen presence and behind-the-scenes operations. His sudden ousting sparked outrage and confusion, especially given the timing. Some speculated that personal tensions between Joey and Jonathan had been building for years, but no one expected them to come to such a dramatic head. Jonathan's firing sent shockwaves through the Daystar community. For many viewers, it felt like a betrayal of the very values the network had long promoted. How could a mother, who had championed the importance of family, sever ties with her own son in such a public manner? The decision raised uncomfortable questions about the internal dynamics of Daystar and its leadership. Was the network being torn apart by personal conflicts? And if so, What did that mean for its credibility as a trusted source of faith-based programming? The crumbling of a marriage. Doug and Lisa Weiss. When Doug Weiss and Lisa Weiss's marriage ended after 3 decades, it sent shockwaves through their inner circle and the larger public. As one of the leading figures in marriage counseling and relationship therapy, Doug Weiss had spent his life preaching the value of commitment, trust, and communication. He had built an esteemed career centered around helping couples navigate the complexities of marriage. But when his own 30-year relationship with Lisa dissolved, the irony was palpable. To many, Doug had embodied the ideals he advocated for in his work, and the collapse of his own marriage left them questioning whether his teachings had been genuine. For those who had followed his career, the divorce was not just the end of a personal relationship, but a professional paradox. If he couldn't save his own marriage, could his advice to others really be trusted? The story behind their separation wasn't a straightforward one, nor did it follow the typical narrative of explosive arguments or dramatic betrayals. Instead, the breakdown of their relationship seemed to stem from a deeper, more subtle issue: emotional distance. Over the years, Doug's dedication to his work consumed more and more of his time and energy. His commitment to helping others, often as a public figure on prominent talk shows like Oprah, Dr. Phil, and Good Morning America, left Lisa feeling neglected and alone. She spoke candidly about how Doug's increasing focus on his career left little room for their relationship. While Doug was out saving marriages, his own fell apart. The emotional gap grew wider with each passing year. Lisa spoke of how Doug's career became his true partner, while she faded into the background. Her attempts to reignite their connection, to recapture the closeness they once shared, were met with indifference. Their marriage, which had once been full of shared moments and dreams, now seemed distant, hollow, and disconnected. Lisa's revelation about how invisible she felt within her own marriage struck a chord with many who had experienced similar emotional neglect. The pain was not just the physical separation, but the emotional abandonment that had occurred long before the divorce papers were signed. A rapid remarriage. Doug Weiss and Joni Lamb. In the wake of their separation, the public was stunned by Doug's rapid transition to a new relationship. Just months after ending his marriage with Lisa, Doug remarried Joni Lamb, co-founder of Daystar Television Network, a major Christian broadcasting outlet. To many, the speed of this transition felt uncomfortable, even disrespectful. How could someone who had spent years counseling others on the sanctity of marriage jump so quickly into another commitment? This was not just a divorce from a spouse. It was a public disavowal of everything Doug had stood for in his professional life. Critics were quick to speculate that Doug's swift remarriage betrayed a lack of respect for the time and effort Lisa had invested in their 30-year partnership. Some asked if Doug had already been emotionally involved with Joni before the divorce was finalized. Others questioned whether his focus on work had distracted him to the point where his romantic life had already been sidelined. Regardless, his actions left many feeling confused and unsettled. For Lisa, it was not just a personal betrayal but a public one. The world watched as Doug seemingly moved on without a second thought. Lisa found herself thrust into the uncomfortable position of explaining her heartbreak to the world. The woman who had once shared her life with Doug now found herself sidelined as he began a new chapter with Joni, an individual who had been in Doug's life for years, albeit in a professional capacity. Joni Lamb, a new beginning for Doug. Joni Lamb's life had not been without its own challenges. As the widow of Marcus Lamb, the late co-founder of Daystar Television Network, Joni had experienced profound loss. Marcus's passing in 2021 had left a void in both her personal and professional life. As the new leader of Daystar, Joni was tasked with continuing her husband's legacy while navigating the immense grief of losing him. For Joni, her relationship with Doug seemed like a fresh start, a way to heal from her own losses while finding new purpose in life. However, their relationship was not without its own controversies. Doug and Joni had known each other for years, as their professional worlds intersected frequently through Daystar's outreach. The public's attention was immediately drawn to the timing of their relationship, and many couldn't help but wonder if there was more to the connection than met the eye. Did Doug's relationship with Joni begin before his divorce was finalized? The rapidity of their marriage raised suspicions among some, with accusations that Doug had already been emotionally involved with Joni during his marriage to Lisa. Others, however, saw the relationship as an act of resilience. For Joni, Marrying Doug was not just about finding love again, but finding companionship with someone who understood the complexities of leadership and public life. The pair found solace in each other's company, as both had suffered tremendous personal losses. Joy losing her husband and Doug losing the marriage that had defined his personal and professional identity for decades. The public's perception, a marriage expert's hypocrisy, Doug's remarriage to Joni Lamb raised uncomfortable questions about his credibility as a marriage expert. For years, he had been the voice of authority on relationships, delivering advice and guidance to millions of people struggling with intimacy and emotional connection. He had built an empire on the idea that relationships could be saved through commitment and patience. His books, therapeutic DVDs, and appearances on high-profile talk shows all centered around this message. But how could Doug preach the importance of marriage while simultaneously moving on from his own? Critics argued that Doug's actions were contradictory to everything he had taught. His public image as a relationship guru was now tainted by the perception that he had not practiced what he preached. This gap between his public persona and his private life was difficult to ignore. Supporters, however, defended Doug, pointing out that divorce is a deeply personal matter and that no one outside the marriage can truly understand the complexities involved. They emphasized that Doug had always been transparent about the struggles within his relationship, and that his decision to remarry should not be seen as an indictment of his career or personal character. They argued that Doug had the right to move on and find happiness after the end of a difficult chapter in his life. For Lisa, the scrutiny of Doug's remarriage was just another painful chapter in the saga of her divorce. While she had tried to maintain her dignity and composure throughout the divorce process, the public's judgment made her feel as though her pain was being disregarded. The questions about Doug's motivations, whether his new marriage was an act of healing or a sign of deeper emotional betrayal, only added to her confusion. The silence of Doug Weiss, a lack of transparency. One of the most frustrating aspects of the divorce for both Lisa and the public was Doug's silence. While Lisa had shared her perspective on their marriage and the dissolution of their relationship, Doug largely remained quiet. He avoided discussing the factors that led to the end of his marriage, choosing instead to focus on his new life with Joey. This lack of transparency left many questions unanswered and fueled the public's curiosity about the true reasons behind the breakup. For someone who had spent decades offering advice to couples in crisis, Doug's avoidance of his own marital issues seemed uncharacteristic. Many wondered how someone who had so much to say about saving marriages could remain so tight-lipped about the collapse of his own. His silence only deepened the public's perception of him as someone who could not or would not be honest about the very thing he had built his career on: relationships. Lisa, on the other hand, was ready to speak out. After years of keeping quiet, she finally broke her silence, sharing her story and providing an emotional look into her experience of the divorce. Her words resonated with many who had felt the sting of emotional neglect or betrayal in their own marriages. Lisa's decision to speak up was not just about airing grievances, but about reclaiming her voice and her dignity after a painful chapter in her life. Daystar's family. Drama: the fall of a network. As the controversy surrounding Doug's remarriage unfolded, it soon became clear that the drama was not confined to his personal life. Daystar Television Network, the Christian broadcasting giant, co-founded by Joni Lamb and her late husband Marcus, found itself at the center of a media storm. The network, which had built its reputation on promoting family values, now faced intense scrutiny due to the personal lives of its leadership. The connection between Doug, Joey, and Daystar only amplified the controversy. How could a network that had long preached the importance of family unity and strong marriages continue to maintain its credibility when its leadership was embroiled in such public turmoil? The scrutiny extended beyond Doug's relationship with Joey. It reached into the internal dynamics of the Lamb family. In one particularly shocking development, Joni Lamb made the decision to fire her own son, Jonathan Lamb, from his role at Daystar. This decision sent shockwaves through the Christian community, as Jonathan had played a pivotal role in the network's programming and growth. Many were left questioning the reasons behind this abrupt termination. Was it a personal matter? Did the drama surrounding Doug's quick remarriage have something to do with it? Joey's decision to fire her son added a new layer of complexity to the situation. While the public speculated about the causes of the tension, the reality was that the Lamb family's internal conflicts had spilled into the open, leaving Daystar's viewers confused and disillusioned. The fallout and what lies ahead. The fallout from Doug and Lisa Weiss's divorce. Doug's rapid remarriage, and the family drama surrounding Daystar Television Network has left an indelible mark on everyone involved. For Lisa, the road to healing is a long one, filled with pain but also a growing sense of independence and strength. Doug, meanwhile, faces the consequences of his actions both in his personal life and in his career as a marriage expert. As for Daystar, the network will need to navigate the complexities of its leadership changes and the controversies surrounding its founders. The path forward for all parties involved is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The narrative surrounding Doug and Joey's marriage will continue to unfold, and the public's perception of their relationships will shape the future of their professional and personal lives. Whether redemption, healing, or further scandal awaits remains to be seen. But one thing is for certain: the drama is far from over,